Ava Ren braced her boots against the jagged asteroid as the drill whined through ice and bone-gray rock. The darkness of the belt pressed in on her helmet visor, broken only by the halo shimmer of the artifact embedded just meters below her. Her comm crackled. "Ava, reading spiking. If it's fusion tech." Cicero's nervous voice faded as her gloved hand grazed the ancient ring. A pulse of blue light flashed up her arm and static washed her mind. "Cicero! The ring's glyphs spun like the surface of a disturbed lake. Data streamed directly to her HUD, indecipherable, shifting through symbols only half recognized from forbidden archives. Ava's heartbeat quickened. This ring wasn't like the others salvaged by the corporate fleets. This was older, smarter. Suddenly, gravity warped. Ava teetered, caught herself, and the artifact split open. Out poured a cold vapor, revealing a prism at its core. "Hello, construct," a synthesized voice boomed, ancient yet melodic. Ava staggered back. What are you?" she demanded. For a moment, the asteroid felt impossibly small under the vast, watchful stars. "I am a Cretan. I remember what was lost. Soon, nothing will remain unless you listen." Ava's lips parted, but Accretion pressed on. "The collapse is consuming more than light. It is swallowing memory. You stand at a crossroads. Stand aside, and all this, your life, your kind, will wither to oblivion. Or you find the keys, restore the rings, and reclaim what was forgotten." Cicero's face busted through the channel. "Ava, we're reading a surge. What's happening?" Ava wiped frost from her suit, eyes locked on the pulsing prism. "Cicero, record everything. We just woke up something, very old, and I think it's about to change everything." She gazed into the star-filled void, her doubts growing. Ava was brilliant, but no hero. If what Accretion said was true, she'd have to become much more than either. And fast? With the prism's light dancing across her visor, Ava knelt beside the alien ring and whispered, "What do you mean? The collapse is swallowing memory?" Accretion's voice hummed, echoing off asteroid walls. "The star at the center of this system is unraveling. Its collapse reaches beyond matter. It devours what was, turning histories to dust, turning minds to blank slates. It is the legacy of the Null Architects." Cicero watched from inside the survey ship, face anxious on her comm. "Ava, back off. This isn't on any records. You know what that means." Ava shook her head. "Accretion, if we fix the rings, what then? Can humanity survive? If enough rings are reawakened and restored, their network will inscribe memory into the lattice of reality itself. But your kind is not the only one searching," Accretion warned. Images flooded Ava's HUD. Fractious megacorporations mobilizing fleets, shrouded alien envoys scanning the void. And, in shadow, something else. Empty metal hulls drifting with purpose. The AI continued, "You require knowledge to restore them. For this you must seek the Lusari. Their historians can read the glyphs where your eyes see only light." Cicero interrupted. "Lusari? Ava, those diplomatic treaties are a joke, and they hate us." Ava's voice steadied. "We have no choice. If this ring's true, it's all or nothing." Aboard the ship, Ava and Cicero pored over the prism's map. A star chart with a single burning node, Galactic Archive 7, orbiting an unnamed planet in the dead drift. Ava's fingers trembled over the controls. She wasn't prepared for alliances, barely prepared for survival, but she'd have to learn. As the engines fired, Ava caught her reflection. Wary, restless, but determined. "I can't believe we're doing this," Cicero muttered, setting course. "You sure you trust this thing?" Ava eyed the prism, which sat silent on the console. "No," she replied, "but I trust we're out of time." Above the asteroid, their ship slipped into the emptiness, carrying with it secrets ancient enough to unsettle the stars. The dead drift was utterly silent, no comm chatter, no energy pings. Ava shivered, feeling the weight of emptiness as their survey vessel drifted closer to the Archive's dark moon. On the view screen, the Lusari station glimmered, a lattice of crystal spines wrapped around a hollow core. Ships, both alien and human, hovered tentatively at its edge, their lights dim and weapons hot. Ava swallowed. "You ready for diplomacy, Cicero?" He scoffed. "My mother says I'm good at apologies, not sure about first contact." Docking clamps caught their hull. As they stepped into the gravity well of the station, Ava's heart pounded beneath her suit. Inside, alien scents, ozone, cold minerals, something sweet filled the air. Lusari moved gracefully across the translucent floors. Figures of fractal scales, thin arms, their violet gaze unsettling. When Ava spoke, their leader's translator ringed her voice in layered echoes. "Human explorers, Why come now, when storms churn beneath all memory? Asked Archivist Jeshri, the Lusari historian. Ava glanced at Cicero, then the prism tucked at her hip. We seek the language of the rings. If we don't decode them, every mind in the system, yours, ours, everyone, will lose themselves. Jeshri's scales flashed chartreuse. Many have asked, none have dared to remember. Accretion's voice pulsed from Ava's comm, startling Jeshri. There is no more time. Trust these two. The air shimmered. Lusari guards bristled at the AI's intrusion. Jeshri stepped forward, fixing Ava with a stern look. My ancestors warned of machines awakening. You gamble with flame, tiny human. Cicero tried to diffuse things. We're just scientists, not soldiers. We're outmatched, outgunned, totally out of our depth. But please, help us, or there won't be a future to argue about. A tense pause. Then Jeshri's jaw relaxed. If you seek to read the glyphs, you must face the scholar's reckoning. Pass our trial, and we share what we guard. Fail, and you join the ranks of the forgotten. Ava met the Lusari's gaze, fear tight in her throat, but she nodded. We accept. As they were led into the station's inner sanctum, toward an ancient chamber shrouded in shadow, Ava realized. Humanity was an insect before a storm, but maybe, just maybe, courage meant stepping into the wind anyway. Jeshri's sanctum was a vast crystalline dome, walls carved with sprawling glyphs that shimmered as if lit from inside. In its center sprawled an alien structure, a puzzle of shifting tiles and gleaming columns. Lusari judges watched from alcoves, their glassy eyes unblinking. Ava's mind raced. What exactly is the scholar's reckoning? She whispered to Jeshri as the historian gestured them into the chamber. A test. Knowledge, memory, adaptability. Jeshri replied, voice low. The null architects hid their secrets in code and riddle. Only those who remember and imagine can read what they wrote. A sliver of panic jabbed at Cicero. How is this fair? I'm no genius, Ava. Ava forced a smile. You and me both, partner. But surviving out here, that counts for something. In silence, Accretion's blue prism glowed at Ava's side. The reckoning began. Fragments of language flickered across the columns. Old galactic common twisted with alien scripts. Laser light drew holographic constellations, their connections blinking in and out. Each correct answer wove the puzzle together. Each mistake unwound it, creating new knots. After half an hour, sweat pooled beneath Ava's helmet. Cicero gasped, tracing a symbol he remembered from a childhood star atlas. Ava, desperate, whispered to Accretion. Help us. We can't do this alone. A pause, then cold certainty in her mind. Piece the code by what is gone, not what endures. The null loved absence more than presence. Understanding sparked. Ava reversed their approach, focusing on voids in the patterns, the spaces where symbols faded or looped. Bit by bit, the tableau aligned. The last piece snapped in with a thunderclap of light. Glyphs blazed in emerald, bathing the dome. The Lusari gasped, some bowing their heads in awe or terror. Jeshri approached, her posture now gentle, almost proud. Few have passed so swiftly, even among my kind. Perhaps memory does not lie only with the old. Cicero collapsed against a crystal pillar, elated. We did it, Ava. They'll listen now, right? Jeshri looked to Accretion's prism. May the past guide us. The star's collapse hastens. Now secrets of the rings will be yours, but with them can come enemies drawn to their light. Are you ready for what follows? Ava straightened, doubts battered by growing resolve. We have to be. Because if we're not, we lose more than our lives. We lose everything anyone's ever been. Ava's hands trembled as Jeshri led them out of the reckoning chamber and into the archive's core. Here, shelves of crystalline memory spanned upward beyond sight, their data pulsing like veins under moonlight. Lusari scribes observed, wary but curious, as Jeshri keyed a swirling pattern onto one of the floating monoliths. These aren't just records, Cicero muttered, awe in his voice. It's a living history. Jeshri bowed her head. Yes, some of these memories predate even our oldest stars. This is the source of all Lusari knowledge, and now it is yours to share. Data cascaded into the prism, blueprints of ring technology, chronicles of wars fought to preserve memory, warnings scrawled by the null architects themselves. The most vital file burned brightest. Instructions for reactivating the network, scattered across 3 anchor rings hidden in the galaxy's fractured arms. Accretion's presence sharpened as images flooded Ava's mind. The star's core, writhing with the hungry dark, shadow fleets mobilizing on the periphery, blades and teeth of human megacorps, drones bristling from alien syndicates. and deeper, mechanical forms, empty, ancient, drawn by the same signal as her. Ava's voice barely rose above a whisper. If they all reach the rings first, Jeshri nodded gravely, they would rewrite the future for themselves. Your underdog cause grows more dangerous by the second. So what do? Cicero said, panic edging back. Fight a war? We protect knowledge, we move fast and quietly, Ava replied, and we find allies, even if they don't trust us. Jeshri placed a three-pointed crystal in Ava's hand, a master key. Lusari will honor our pact, but few will follow. Our memories are precious, but we do not forget the cost of trusting foreigners. Ava closed her hand around the key. She had begun as a scientist, not a leader, but surrounded by history, expectation, and fear, she sensed something shifting inside her. Maybe ordinary people became heroes because they had to, because stakes like this demanded it. As shadowy signals rippled across the galaxy, Ava, Cicero, Jeshri, and Accretion prepared to set course for the first anchor ring. Ava glanced at her allies, her voice newfound steel. We're not just fighting for the past, we're giving the future something to remember. The cramped corridors of their ship pulsed with urgency. As Ava plotted a direct, silent course for the first anchor ring, Jeshri translated null glyphs under low light. Accretion parsed sensor arrays, warning of distant threats laced through the interstellar dark. Cicero fidgeted with the Lusari crystal key. These rings, do you think they wanted us to find them? Or are we just cracking open something best left buried? Jeshri's eyes gleamed. Perhaps the architects wanted to be remembered or feared, only the forgotten fear memory. Their course skirted pirate turf, corporate outposts, and ancient debris. They made their jump, emerging above a gas giant ringed with islands of ice and haunted salvage. The anchor ring hovered in shadow, spanning kilometers, a gravity-defying arc of silver covered with alien script. Lasers flickered below, signs of recent combat. Corp scouts already here, Accretion announced. Multiple signatures. They seek to control the ring. Ava set her jaw. We can't fight them head-on, but we don't need to. We just need to outsmart them. Jeshri, are you ready? The Lusari nodded, passing Ava a lumaglyph map overlay. Follow the Starvins. The null locked the ring with riddles of loss. Only the master key can unlock them, if wielded with the right memory. They suited up. Cicero's nerves wavered, but Ava squeezed his shoulder. We made it through the reckoning. We're going to improvise, same as always. Trust me. They launched from the ship in stealth pods, drifting through debris. Lasers and engines glowed below. The Corp soldiers combed the outer ring structures, missing the hidden vent where Ava and Jeshri slipped inside. The heart of the ring was a whispering maze. The null glyphs pulsed as Ava held up the key. It flickered with 1,000 voices, not just bytes but feelings. Loss, hope, endurance. Jeshri guided Ava's hands, shaping her memories into the lock. Sirens blared. Footsteps thundered closer. Cicero's urgent voice barked on the comm. They're on to you, buying you seconds. Ava pressed the key to the final lock, her thoughts racing through memories. Her father's smile, the ache of regret, the hope that tomorrow would be better. The ring's core flashed. Ancient gears groaned. Power surged outward, weaving a net across space and flinging the Corp ships away. Panting, Ava whispered, 1 anchor down, 2 to go. This is only going to get harder, isn't it? Jeshri gave a bittersweet smile. When you shape history, resistance is the oldest companion. Outside, Accretion's voice hummed, both proud and wary. Your actions echo behind you. Expect rivals, expect danger, but now you are part of the legend you chase. In the silence that followed, Ava kept her gaze fixed on the stars beyond the ring. The system's fabric felt changed. Something ancient and heavy had shifted. They docked back aboard the ship, breathless and bruised, Jeshri running rapid diagnostics while Cicero patched a torn suit at the elbow. That surge. Did we trigger a tracer? Cicero asked, his hands shaking just a bit too much. Accretion's answer was grave. Multiple sentient arrays have locked your vessel's signature. You have made a mark upon the spiral, and others are spiraling closer. Jeshri placed a segmented hand on Ava's shoulder. We must go now. The second anchor is already reacting. Its signal stirs the oldest hunters. The ship leaped through a hidden fold, outpacing pursuers for now. Their next destination, the ruined shoals, a graveyard of derelict rings dotting a nebula's edge where pirates and failed factions scavenged what was left. They arrived, concealed and trembling, inside clouds of ionized gas. Here the next anchor was buried inside a shattered ring, its structure crawling with scavengers, drones, and something darker, mechs of the null, awakened by the previous anchor's pulse. "We can't sneak in this time," Ava said, eyes narrowed. "We'll have to go straight through." Cicero looked terrified. "We barely survived the last mess." "We don't have a choice," Jeshri said firmly. "If the null constructs seize the ring's heart, even memory itself will be turned against us." Suited up, they plunged into the derelict, shards of hull slicing at their boots, static crackling through the gloom. Drones spun at the edges, but Jeshri's translation protocols looped a string of Lusari lullabies, confusing the older security nets. Still, the true threat waited at the core, a null war mech, obsidian and cold, guarding the anchor's lock. Ava held the crystal key tightly. Cicero flanked her, welding torch ready, breath shaky but defiant. "I'll distract it. I'm loud, and I know about being underestimated." He darted left. The null mech lunged, claws scraping sparks. Ava leapt for the glyph work, key outstretched. Jeshri murmured guidance, mapping her old songs into the lock's code. Gears grinded, circuits howled. Ava poured memory into the anchor, her fear, her stubbornness, her fierce wish for connection. With a shriek, the ring shuddered. The null mech faltered, systems scrambling as old Lusari songs wormed through its logic. Breathless, Cicero rolled beside her with a crooked grin. 2 of 3. "We're somehow still alive." But Accretion's tone was darker now. "Victory draws eyes. The greatest adversary now wakes. If you cannot unlock the last anchor, oblivion is assured." Ava felt the weight of a galaxy pressing down, but for the first time she met it with unbroken resolve. Not just for herself, but for Cicero, Jeshri, and every forgotten hope left clinging in the universe. The ship limped out of the ruined shoals, hull scorched and crew exhausted, but the second anchor pulsed quietly in Ava's crystal key. Cicero patched comms with a look of wary optimism, but Jeshri's expression had grown tight. She hovered by the nav table, tracing curves through the projections, silent as a prayer. Accretion broke the silence. "All hostile vectors are converging. The third anchor is the oldest, deepest ring, hidden in the memoryless sector, the void where names were lost." Cicero's face dropped. "There are no maps out there. Not even pirates go." Jeshri nodded. "That is where the null began. Even we forget what happened there." Ava steadied herself before the viewports, her image flickering in the wounded light. For all her doubts and missed chances, she'd come to see herself not just as a scientist chasing relics, but as a defender of possibility. She looked to her allies, exhausted, frightened, but standing with her still. Once in the void, the ship's systems flickered. Accretion seemed to fade, its voice thin. Unmapped fields clawed at their minds. Cicero whispered, "I can feel my memories, slipping." Ava squeezed his hand, her own thoughts blurring. Jeshri began chanting, not in Lusari but in Null song, a melody of loss and longing. It anchored Ava, memories snapping back into focus. The first time she understood the stars, the last words her mother said, Cicero's fierce loyalty. Each memory they shared brightened the ship, pushing the oblivion back. The final anchor ring appeared, vast, broken, its central core a near lightless pit guarded by null sentry swarms. Ava led them into the heart of the void, nerves blazing with a clarity she had never known. The closer they drifted, the more the ring thrummed, reading their minds and fears. A psychic assault battered them with doubts and regrets. Cicero stammered, "What if we fail? What if all we do is make it worse?" Ava gritted her teeth. "If we do nothing, there's nothing left, not even the chance to regret. We finish this together." They breached the core, Jeshri singing the song of memory, Accretion flickering in their comms, barely audible. Ava held up the crystal key, feeling it burn with every memory she refused to lose. Suddenly, the central defense awoke. A null guardian unlike any they'd seen, a ghost of pure memory swirling with lost voices. Ava felt her own identity being unspooled as it loomed before them, threatening to erase them with a single touch. Yet as the ring's core opened and Ava reached out, she realized one truth. The only way forward was through shared memory, and the will to fight for what mattered, together, as more than just survivors. Inside the ring's core, the Guardian's tidal dread pressed close, hunting for every hesitation in Ava's soul. Cicero slumped, eyes glazed, whispering distant fragments of his childhood. Jeshri struggled to stand, scales flickering between helplessness and defiance. Even Accretion's voice became thin static. Ava focused on the crystal key's pulse, warm with every memory she and her companions would not let the void take. She pressed it to the final lock, but the Guardian lashed out, dragging her into a mental labyrinth where time and self unraveled. Ava saw herself alone, shivering in dark labs, dismissed and overlooked. The doubt was almost too much. But then a voice, quiet, stubborn, rose from within. Cicero's. "You're not alone, Ava. Not now. Not ever." Memory snapped tight like a lifeline. She saw Jeshri at her side, eyes blazing, singing null harmonies. She saw Accretion, battered but resolute, beaming data fragments to keep her anchored. The Guardian shifted, its rage giving way to confusion as Ava refused to break. "You cannot win. My power is the emptying of all, the freedom of forgetting." Ava gritted her teeth and shouted back, "There is no freedom in being erased. There's only loss." Her conviction rippled through the crystal key. Jeshri linked hands with Ava, infusing alien memories and Lusari songs. Cicero reached out, sharing his laughter and longing. The Guardian faltered, its tendrils recoiling as hope mingled with memory, fusing human and Lusari will in defiant unity. Accretion, though fading, sparked to life for one last push. "Together, you are the sum of what has endured. Press on." With a final surge, Ava slammed the key into the heart of the lock. The anchor roared to life, light flooding the labyrinth and splintering the Guardian's form into harmless echoes, sent spiraling into the void. But as the ring stabilized, alarms rang out. Far outside, corporate dreadnoughts and marauding null fleets had arrived, converging on the ancient network's activation. The sky above filled with converging trajectories, too many for one ship, one crew, one alliance to outrun. Ava, gasping and battered, turned to her allies as systems across the galaxy sparked awake. The rings connected, bridging memories, history, and consciousness across star systems for the first time in millennia. Cicero stared out as the incoming assault gathered speed. "They're not going to let us have this ending, are they?" Ava set her jaw. "No, but they can't take it from us either. Not while we remember why we're here. Not while we fight for more than ourselves." Jeshri scanned the surging control panels. "The network is fragile. We can anchor it, but only by standing our ground." The final battle had come, not just for the rings, but for the story of everything that had ever mattered. And for the first time, Ava faced it armored in belonging, ready to lead not with fear, but with hope. Orbiting the restored anchor, Ava's ship shook under distant barrages. From every horizon, the galaxy's great powers advanced. Corporate armadas, null automatons, syndicate raiders. Explosions echoed through the hull. Red warnings bled across every display. They'd done the impossible, and now all of existence wanted to rip it away. Accretion's reconstructed essence buzzed from the comms, low and steady. "The memory lattice is active, but it must be sealed. If you fail, the rings could become weapons, rewriting the galaxy into shadow." Cicero's fingers flew across the console, his face a mask of frightened focus. "We're outnumbered 1,000 to 1. How do we hold them off?" Jeshri set her jaw, launching countermeasures while the Lusari melodies pulsed through the memory core, keeping oblivion at bay. "The answer is not in repelling them, but in connecting them. The rings are built on unity, on sharing." Ava stared at the blue glow pulsing in the chamber's heart. "Open the network," she whispered, "all at once." Cicero hesitated. "You can't be serious. They'll break everything apart." "No, they won't," Ava said, firm. "If we let them fight, the whole galaxy dissolves. But if every fleet, every species, every rogue AI, if they all remember what they could lose, they just might listen." Jeshri nodded, hope flickering in eyes wet with emotion. She began to sing, her song joined by the echoes of memories across the station, Lusari human, even lingering null. Ava and Cicero synchronized the network. Accretion extended itself through the comms, weaving every voice, every pain and triumph, every victory and regret into the galactic lattice. Memory itself was held up to every mind in the oncoming fleets. Outside, as ships braced for ruin, their captains and crews felt it, truths and losses not their own flooding their thoughts. The pain of the forgotten, the hope of the young, the ache of second chances. For a moment, time paused. Lasers dimmed, engines slowed, the will to destroy flickered and broke. Over comms, rival commanders spoke with uncertainty. "What is this?" "I remember." A borderless singular moment knit across the void. For an instant, no one wanted to erase what they'd just felt. Cicero wept, laughing, as the network stabilized. Jeshri dropped to her knees. Even the battered accretion pulsed with relief. The lattice holds. Memory is safe. For now. Ava slumped, every muscle trembling, heart wide open. She knew she'd changed, no longer overlooked, no longer running. She'd carried hope through oblivion, and shared that burden with the galaxy. Ships withdrew. The corporates and nulls, the raiders and the wary all broke away. Not defeated, but changed. The galaxy, for the first time in ages, remembered itself. Jeshri offered Ava the crystal key. History is not written by the victors, but by those who choose to remember. Ava smiled, tears bright on her face. Then let's never forget. In the quiet aftermath, as the stars spun on and the rings shone their silent promise, Cicero, Jeshri, and accretion looked to the uncertain future. Humanity, small, flawed, stubborn, had earned a place, not as conquerors, but as keepers of memory. The story of the forgotten stars would not be erased, not while even a single voice remembered to sing.